Hey, it's David. I'm downstairs in my basement printer test room in order to show you something that is one of my favorite things about the Bambu AMS system. So a lot of people use the AMS system for doing multiple filaments. However, it does a lot more. Up here, you'll find a link to another video I did about my 6 favorite things about the AMS system. I want to show you one of them. Here I have a model that I print pretty often, which is a Gonzanti cruiser from Star Wars. But if you take a look, you can see that there's a lot of issues here where the tree supports have actually sort of dug themselves into the cracks in this model. This is pretty typical of the kind of print that you might see with a flat surface but some indents in it. I'm going to put this down. Now this is another Gonzanti. It's a slightly different model, but what we did is we printed it with supports, but we have the supports change at the tip of them, the interface layer, to a different type of filament. The reason why is that PLA doesn't stick really well to PETG. PETG doesn't stick really well to PLA. The cool thing is that in Bambu Studio and in Orca Slicer, you can set the tips of the filament of the supports to be a different type of material. In this case, we have a PETG version of the Gonzanti Cruiser. The supports are PETG, but at the very tips, the supports have switched over to a white PLA. Instead of peeling off the supports and having a lot of problems, you just pop the support off easily. So here's a larger piece. This is the larger piece that would be digging itself into some of the nooks and crannies. And that's it. You can see here the white on the tips of the supports, and that is the PLA filament that allows us to take this off so easily. Now you could do the entire support out of the alternative material. So for example, I could have done the whole support as that white PLA, but the problem with doing the whole support as the white PLA is that every single layer on your model needs to have a layer change. That slows things down, that gets really expensive. And so the ability to add just the interface layer to being a different filament is fantastic. This model had only 51 filament changes. It produced very little poop out of doing that, and it gave me a really great model. Also, I didn't have to use a ton of PLA material on this, so I don't end up wasting 2 different types of material, and I can cost my job according to what the main material is, and I don't have to worry about that PLA portion because it's almost negligible. All you really have to do to get started with this from a filament standpoint is come over to your AMS system and make sure that it has both a PLA and a PETG filament in it, or come over here to the AMS light system and do the same thing. Bambu also makes a material called support, which does the same thing as this does, but it's usually cheaper just to use the PLA material that you have around or the PETG material, as you can get some really cheap materials and use those for your interface support. Okay, now let's go upstairs to my studio. I will show you how to set this up in Bambu or in Orca. This is where I will pretend to walk away and have you follow me. This way. Okay, we're back at my computer, and now I want to show you just how easy this is to do. We have a piece here. This is a piece with a lot of overhangs. This isn't a piece that I have a lot of problems getting the supports off of, but it's a really good way to show you what this will do. This is part of a barrel for a Helldiver's railgun that I sell on my Etsy store. Link to that store is in the description below, and you'll see that there are a lot of overhangs right here. I'm going to come over here and turn on Enable Support. I'm going to turn it on to tree, and I'm going to leave everything else here as it normally is, and I'm going to just hit slice plate. This print is 8 hours and 53 minutes, which is an okay print time for something this big. So here's where we go and change the setting. So over here on the left, under the support setting, under filaments for supports, we're going to change the support raft and interface from default, and we're going to choose one of the colors that is a different type of material. So in this case, I have copper PETG loaded up, but I've made it purple so it's easier to find in this list. What we do next is we come right over here to the section that says filaments for supports. We're going to come to the support and raft interface section, and from default, I'm going to choose the other filament material. So I'm printing this in PLA. I need to choose the PETG as my alternate material. Since we're doing the support raft interface, all it's going to do now is change the filament right where it touches the structure. Okay, so now with the purple, you can see where the filament is going to change. It's a very thin, very tiny amount of change in order to do better supports here. You can see that over here, it doesn't even think that the support change is necessary. That's because this is not really a very big overhang. It's just maintaining the support for just a little bit of cosmetic piece of the material over here. You can also see down here at the bottom that it's doing the filament change right at the base, and the reason why is that this piece isn't flat on the bed. I'm going to jump to prepare just so you can see this piece, and you can see that the piece itself is sitting up raised off of another piece. This is actually part of it that is hardest to get off the filament. The filament on the bottom has a tendency to sort of adhere itself to the bottom. Now over here we can see that our slicing time has gone up to almost 13 hours. This isn't a piece I necessarily would do with 2 different filaments to make the support removal easier. Supports are really easy to remove on this particular piece. I know that from printing a lot of this piece. But for a piece like that spaceship that has a lot of little detail on it, especially a spaceship that has things like little blasters sticking off of the side that are very small pieces of filament, I don't want the filament to stick there at all, and so the amount of time to do this extra little thing with the supports is much less than the amount of time it would take me to reprint the piece if I break off some part of the piece trying to remove the supports. That's it. It is just one setting in the slicer. I'm in Orca. Same thing works in Bambu. That's all you have to do. You just remember, load one slot with a PLA that you want and another slot with any PETG that you want to do. You can flip this also. If you're printing in PETG, use the PLA for the support filament and vice versa. All right, let's go back downstairs and finish off. This is the part where you and I pretend that I came downstairs from my office, walked in front of the camera again to do my wrap up, and I didn't just do this right after the other parts. So let me know if you have any questions about the process. As I said, I have a video which will be down below about other things you can do with the Bambu AMS system. Also, let me know if you have any questions or if you just think that I am awesome. As always, for Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss. Thanks so much for giving this a try.